Today, we continue to study Greek grammar, demonstrative adjective. From the last class, we studied the interrogative adjective, and then next one here in the textbook, demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjectives are this, that, these, but the this is the plural. So the plural concept is the living. When we study about the numbers. So instead of we translate these, we translate this living. And those also the plural in English. So we translate that living. So those are the demonstrative adjectives. The parsing code on the demonstrative adjective is the APD, as you see here. So A stands for the adjective. P stands for pronominal. So pronominal means the pronoun in English. And then D is the demonstrative. Then what is the demonstrative adjective? As we see here our textbook, they are used to point out specific people or specific things. That's why it is translated as this, that, this living, that living. The first verse, as you look at here, utoi. And then underneath, as you see the parsing code here, right? So you see the APD, which stands the demonstrative adjective. And then next one, N is the nominative, which can become the subject or complement in the sentence. And then hutoi is the masculine plural. So that's why I'm not translating this plural as these. I'm translating hutoi as the this living. So let's go to the book of Revelation 19:9 to practice. 19:9, then he said to me, and we're going to find out who is he here. Right. Blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, these are the true sayings of God. Before we are looking at the Greek text and then translate into English, let's go up to the verse 1 here. It starts with the after these things I hear a loud voice of great multitude in heaven. Right side in the Greek, this is the kai meta tauta. English translate after these things. But if you look at the tauta, this is also what? APD, isn't it? Which is the, we are study demonstrative adjective, APD, right? APD. So English translate these things. But the problem is, meta is they translate after, and then kai is the end. But New King James Bible, they don't even put the end here, which is a conjunction, kai. And then King James Bible put and. These are the one of the each single word is very important to understand how sentence is going on, what is going on in each sentence. So if you look at the kai, that means what? The story, the sentence is connected from the previous verse, isn't it? Also, we haven't studied the preposition yet. The meta preposition is combined and joined. I translate meta as with. With. Let's go to the dictionary, 3326. Greek, 3326. So meta, denoting accompaniment, amid. And then this is what? joined. So even though I translate as with, there is another preposition when we're going down to preposition study in the future. And then there is two different preposition that can translate as preposition with. One is the meta. (3326) meta, and then I put explanation as what? Fusion, which is it is mixed. That's why when we translate 3340 metanoeo, English translate repent, but this is a compound word, meta plus noeo. Understand, right? In order for us to understand, we have to combine and join. That's why I don't translate metanoeo as repent. I translate it as combine, join to understand, combine, join to perceive. So meta is the chemical action. Like I normally say, when you're making a coffee, depends on your preference, you grinding the coffee bean. And then you put the water, or some people do sugar and cream. Once it's mixed, you cannot separate it because chemical action already happened. That is the meta. And then another one, as you see here, 4862, shin. Shin also I translate as with when it used as the preposition. Then shin concept is the together, whereas meta concept is fusion. So together means you are together, which is with somebody, with something. That is the physical action, whereas meta is the with chemical action. So that is the meta. That's why here says the concept is the joined. Then go back to our Book of Revelation chapter 19. Kai meta tauta. Kai is and. Meta, with, which means join and combine. And then these things we translate disliving, APD. So combine, join, disliving. Then what is happening? So in order for us to understand things happening in chapter 19, we need to go back to chapter 18, right? Chapter 18 is talking about the Babylon is fallen, right? Babylon is the dwelling place of the demon, prison for every foul spirit. Even though they put the cage, this is the same prison. You see here, pulake, prison, every unclean spirit. And then prison, you see same word here, but one translated as prison in the New King James, the other translated as cage. It's the prison also. Prison, every unclean bird. So every unclean bird, every unclean spirit, which is the dwelling place of demon. That Babylon is what? Fallen. That is talking about the Book of Revelation chapter 18 throughout all the way to the chapters here, right? So my angel took a stone like a great millstone to throw it to the sea. The city Babylon shall be thrown down, shall not be found anymore, right? Because they go back to their original place, because the sea is the place dragon, Satan and serpent lives, right? So Babylon go back to their place. So those are the one, chapter 18. But look at the chapter 18, verse 1 again. You see, same thing after these things, right? APD. Then again, and combine, join, disliving. So 18 still combine, join to chapter 17, isn't it? So we go to the chapter 17. And then here says, one of the 7 messenger who had the 7 bowl came. Talk with me. So this is the 7 bowl process, right? Then it come all the way down. That woman who is the mother of harlot, forehead name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlot and of the abomination of the earth. So Babylon is showing up the 7 messenger, 7 bowl process, right? So 7th bowl pour out, the Babylon is poured down. And then this also same thing, you see here Kai, and that connecting to the story also 16, chapter 16, isn't it? So we go back to chapter 16 here. Then here talking about the first, pour out his bowl, first bowl, right? And then second messenger pour, second bowl process. And third messenger pour out, third bowls, right? And then fourth messenger pour out his bowl. And then fifth messenger pour out his bowl. And then sixth messenger pour out his bowl, right? And then we actually study about the six bowl process. And then 7 messenger pour out his bowl. Then Book of Revelation chapter 16 verse 17. 7th messenger pour out his bowl, which is the 7th bowl process starting from the Book of Revelation 16, 17. Then 17, 18, 19, 1 is still going on what? 7th bowl process, isn't it? That's why understanding the Bible is what? 7 days process, right? Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 through Genesis chapter 2 verse 3. They're talking about 7th day. And then that extends the entire Bible. We already learned. And Genesis chapter 2 verse 5 to Genesis chapter 5 is the 1 day process, which is the first Adam story. And 2nd day is the day of Noah, Genesis chapter 6 through the Genesis chapter 11. 3rd day is the Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, which is the Genesis chapter 12 to Genesis chapter 50. Finishing the Genesis, that covers the 1 day through the 3rd day, right? 4th day is the Moses, Exodus through the Deuteronomy. And 5th day is the prophet, priest, king, which is the after the Deuteronomy, which is the Joshua to the Malachi. So Joshua through Malachi is the 5th day book. That is talking about 5th day in the Genesis chapter 1. Then 6th day is the Matthew through the John, which is the Christos Jesus is born, crucified, and resurrect. That is my 6th day. Jesus is born inside me, crucified with me, and resurrect with me. And 7th day is the what? Act through the Jude, which is the apostles' life. Then Book of Revelation is the conclusion that consists of 7 seal, 7 trumpet, 7 bowl process, which is a 7th process or conclusion is talking about entire Bible covered. So today, chapter 19, that we are going to look at the 19.9, that is the APD that we are about to study, 19.9. And we need to make sure where is 19.9 is positioned in the book of Revelation. 7 bowl process, which is my 7th process. The 7th trumpet is sound from the messenger. Whenever I hear the messenger's sound, then my seal is open. As soon as my seal is open, then I pour out the each bowl, which is a 7 bowl is the last process. Then what is the book of Revelation is really talking about? When we go to the Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, it's talking about revelation of Jesus Christ. 아포칼립시스 예수 그리스도. This is the title sentence of the entire book of Revelation. Then what is the revelation means? When we go to the strong number 602, 아포칼립시스. It's talking about disclosure. In their dictionary, apocalypsis is the laying bare, making naked. That's the apocalypsis dictionary definition. Then this is the noun, apocalypsis. It comes from the verb 601. When you go 601, apocalypto. Apo is up, which is a preposition apo, 575. Up, which means separation, departure, cessation, completion, reversal concept, which is up, off, separate, depart, cessation. It is up, is complete, reversal. And then kalupto, 2572, cover, kalupto, cover off, right? And then their dictionary, to hide, veil, which means hide off, veil off, which means fully manifested, right? That is the take the cover off, disclosed verb, apocalypto. Then book of Revelation is talking about 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls process that is happening spiritually in my life. The process, seal, trumpet, bowl process is what? Take the cover off Christos Jesus. It's the spiritual process. It is not physical process. I know many people misunderstanding the book of Revelation, and they try to understand in the man's wisdom, man's way. But I repeatedly say many times, entire Bible is the spiritual God, God's spirit, based upon the 2 Timothy 3:16. All scripture what? Theopneustos, Theos, God. Pneustos is the pneumatikos, which is the spiritual God, God's spirit. Because God is a spirit. Jesus is the spirit. Last Adam is the life-giving spirit. That's why it is the spiritual book. That's why until we hear the 7th trumpet, Bible is the closed book. Mystery of God, Christos, is not fully manifested yet. Because Jehovah is in perfect status in me. Christos Jesus is in perfect status inside me. Until I come into the 6th day, I receive the spirit of his son, and born of a woman, born under the law. Galatians chapter 4 is talking about that. About the Christos Jesus also, when we go to the 2 Corinthians chapter 13:5, examine yourself as to whether you are in faith. Test yourself. Do you not know yourself that Jesus Christ is in where? Jesus Christ is in the heaven? Because he was here 2024 years ago. Where is the heaven? Where is the earth? Inside me, heaven and earth is inside me, right? Where is Jesus Christ? Jesus Christ is in you. When we're talking about the heaven and earth, we went to the Genesis chapter 1, right? Bereshit. English translate in the beginning. And then we went to the dictionary 7225. Hebrew 7225. Reshit is the first. That's why English translate beginning. Bet is the in preposition in. So in the first, in the beginning. Then what begin are we talking about? This is a noun feminine. This is the same as what? 7218. We click the 7218 is what? Head. Beginning of the head. Whose head? My head. Next one is the yod right here. My head. In my head. But that is what? Top is the sealed. My head is sealed. What is sealed? The heaven? The earth. And then English did not translate this one, but Aleph is the first alphabet. Tav is the last alphabet in Hebrew alphabet. First heaven, first earth, last earth is sealed in my head. That's why when we go to the Isaiah chapter 29, and then the prophet Isaiah is talking about in this way. The Lord has poured out on you the spirit of deep sleep, has closed your eyes, namely the prophet. He has covered your head, namely the seers. So my head is covered. My eyes closed because I am blindness. I am in the deep sleep. The whole vision has become to you like the words of the book that is sealed with 7 seals. Which man delivered to one who is literate, saying, read this please. And he say, I cannot, because it is sealed. Until we hear the 7th trumpet, Bible is a sealed book. It is the mystery of kingdom of heaven is fully sealed. Then the book is delivered to one who is literate, saying, read this please. And he say, I am not literate. This one is sealed until the last day. That's why when we go to Daniel chapter 12, until you meet the Michael messenger, which is shown in the book of Revelation chapter 12. Michael means the who's like God. Then it is sealed. Seal the book until the time of the end, until the day of the Lord, until we hear from the 7th trumpet. 7th bowl process is the when we hear the 7th trumpet, our 7th seal is open and 7th bowl process is happening in my life. That's the book of Revelation. There is things happening inside me spiritually. Christos Jesus in me. God is in me. Heaven is in me. Earth is in me. That's why when we go to the New Testament Act, chapter 7, when we coming down verse 47 here, Solomon built him a house for the Jehovah God. However, the Most High does not dwell in temple, which is a man-made house made with hand, as the prophet says, which is a prophet Isaiah said there. Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What house will you build for me, says the Lord, or what is the place of my rest? Has my hand not made all these things? You stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart. Until I circumcise in my heart. We do not have understanding about heaven and earth. We do not understand what house is built for the Jehovah. Until I become the house of Jehovah. Until I become a spiritual house. Until I become a house of the God, temple of the God. You always resist the Holy Spirit. because Bible is the spiritual book. As your father did, so do you. With that understanding, all book of Revelation is talking about take the cover of Christos Jesus, who is inside me in perfect status, is not fully manifested yet. As I hear the trumpet sound, open up the seal, and then pour process, and all Bible and book of Revelation is manifested as I grow up through the word of God, through the wisdom of God and power of God, who is the Christos. With that foundation, we can go to today's study, book of Revelation, chapter 19 here. So, not after these things, and combine, join this living, which is the sevenfold process. So, going down to verse 9 here, let's translate. And then the one in my textbook is start from here. Hutoi. It is the APD, or you see the A-D. This is the adjective demonstrative. So let's practice literal translation from the Greek text into English Bible, English, and then we can compare as we always do with the English Bible, and then check and balance whether it's correct translation or incorrect translation. Kai legei moi, and he says, right? VIPA, verb indicative present active. So he says. Who is he? The messenger, right? The messenger who pour out what? We already see that from the Revelation chapter 16, verse 17 until here is the sevenfold process, which is the seventh messenger who pour out the sevenfold. That person says. And then moi is the noun, personal pronoun, dative, first person singular. So, to me. Graphon. Grapson, which is a grapho. B-M-A-A-Y-S. You. And then, past command, right? Wrote. What is the past command means? Urgency. 911, right? It has to be happen as quickly as possible, right? Makarioi. Makario is the adjective, nominative, masculine plural, right? This is the English translate blesses are, right? You see the NMP is right here. So this is the subject. The verb is right here. Subject and verb. So until here, this is a period as you see there. So starting the sentence is starting from the Makarioi and then finish right here. Then English translate blessed. Incorrect translation. Makarioi is not blessed. Makarioi, Makarios. Because when you put the Omicron iota is the plural. But if you look at the lemma here, Makarios, that's the lemma, basic form. Makarios is not blessed. Makarios is the happy. Then we put the plural, happy living. Happy living. Who are the happy living? It says here, you see NMP, NMP, NMP. The living. Because it's the plural. Into, we already learned that ace is into to become one, right? Into the supper genitive, supper of the marriage of the lamb. Then happy living is the one, BPRP. It is not our court, right? It is not who are called. It is not blessed also. Okay. Participle, present perfect, passive. What is the present perfect passive? Has or have plus past participle, isn't it? Then kaleo is invite. Then masculine plural. So have been invited. So happy living, the living have been invited into the supper of the marriage of the lamb. So instead of marriage, I put the gamos as the wedding. And then hutoi, this living. You see the nominative, this is a subject. We forget this one. And he say to me, same thing, right? Those three is the same as right here. It's the same thing. So he says to me, which is a seventh messenger who pour out the seventh spore. And then hutoi, this living. This is a subject. The verb is right here. You see verb. So NMP, third person plural. So these living are, right? And then nominative, nominative, nominative. So adjective modifies to the noun. This is the complement. So this sentence is the subject, verb, complement. Type 2 sentence, isn't it? These living are true. Logos is not sayings, right? Logos is word. And then plural is what? Word living. And then genitive, genitive. Word living of the God. Right? So these living are the true word. If you don't want to say living, then words, right? Words of, you have to put the definite article. Only true God. The God. Then we can correct here. It is not then, it is a kai. He, it is not said, says. You see VIPA? Present. He says present. What is the present means? Past become a present, future becomes present. We already learned how to understand the tense in the Bible, right? Christian is the present man, right? So messenger is the present man. He says to me, not write, wrote. And then happy living. R. There's no R actually, right? There's no R, no beaver. Happy living, the living. You see here, the living have been invited. It is not who are called. Present perfect. Present perfect passive. Not to, into. Into the marriage, into the supper. You see here, into the supper of the wedding of the lamb. Again, he says to me, present. These living are the true word living of the God. We have a lot of correction here. Then, today in the next class, we are going to study about the makarioi, which means happy living. And then we are going to study the second one. The supper of the wedding of the Lamb. Number 2. Into the supper of the marriage of the Lamb. Then happy living is what? Has been invited. Present perfect. If you are not become a present perfect, you are not qualified to be invited into the supper of the wedding of the lambs. It has to be present perfect and passive, right? We learn also same thing, BPRP, present perfect passive. Last class, right? When we're talking about the New Jerusalem. Let's remind again, when we go to the chapter 21, these two, right? And last YouTube channel, if you go, you will see this one too. You see VPRP right here, right? VPRP. You see the VPRP? And then dative, right? So it's not prepared. Has been prepared. This one also has been adorned. Who? FS. Who is the bride? So bride has been prepared. Bride has been adorned. Dative is what? Not for, by her husband. Husband is the one has prepared her. Husband is the one has adorned her. Bride cannot do anything. It has to be action done by the husband, who is the Christ. Christos. Same thing, right? PPRP right here, right? PPRP, which is the has been invited. You has been invited by who? By the Christos Jesus. By the Son of the human being, Son of the man, 7 days man. To participate into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. In order to do that, you have to meet the happy living standard. You have to be happy in order to be present perfect passive invitation. Why Macario is happy? If you look at the 3107, this one, said supremely blessed, fortune well off. And their dictionary, blessed, happy, right? But there is the blessed in the Greek word, which is the eulogeo. If you go to the blessed, you know, they translate this one as happy, right? Again, we are going to study happy living, and then second one, this one, and third one, we are going to study about the true word living of God. So we might study this class and then at least the next class. Then about the happy living is Makarios, but there is another blessed translation in the Greek word. When you go to the Matthew chapter 14, example, 14 verse 19. And Jesus commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Very famous story, isn't it? Looking up to heaven, he blessed. Look at the blessed in the Greek word, whether it's makarioi or not. Blessed. Look at the blessed on the right side. You see here? Eulogeo. Eulogeo. Let's go to the dictionary, 2127. 2127. You see here, praise, celebrate with praise, right? And then they put the bless right here. And then Michelson Dictionary, speak well of, to bless. Eulogeo translate bless, which means you is well, good. 2095, well and good. Logeo is a speak, which is a logos is the noun. Logos is the noun. So good speak and speak well. That is the blessing in English Bible. Another place I would like to go, eulogeo, when we go to the New Testament Hebrew, 6:14. Start from 13. When God made a promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no one greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply you. Look at the blessing, eulogeo. You see here? I will bless, eulogeo. Right? And then eulogeo, BPP, participle present, blessing. I will bless, blessing. So surely blessing, I will bless. So eulogeo needs to translate as the bless. Makarioi, makarios needs to translate as happy. Same thing in the Old Testament Bible, also confused between the blessed and the happy. When we go to the Psalm chapter 1 verse 1 in Old Testament Bible, you see here, Psalm chapter 1 verse 1, blessed is the man. This is the aser. Aser is not blessed. The man is the ish, which is the adult man. So aser is the makarioi, happy ministry of the man, which is the happy man, adult man. Let's go look at the dictionary, 835. Hebrew, 835. You see happiness? It's not blessed. And PDB, happiness, and they put also bless. But bless is the barak in the Hebrew word. Happy is the aser. Happiness is aser. So barak is the bless that show in the Genesis chapter 1. Let's go there. Genesis chapter 1, 122, which is the fifth day. God bless them. Look at the bless. Barak. Bless for saying. Good saying, eulogeo is the bless. Let's go to the dictionary, Hebrew 1288. 1288. Kneel, bless, bless. And then BDB, bless, kneel, which is a kneel down to receive bless. And then 28 also, God bless, barak. And then 7th day, 2-3, God bless, bless, barak. So Eser has to translate as happy. Then who are the happy? Go back to Psalm chapter 1. Happy is the man who walks not in the counsel of ungodly, nor stand in the path of sinner, nor sits in the seats of scornful. His delight, his happiness is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the river of water, that brings forth his fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinner in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. This is the happy living, happy man's standard, who delight in the law of the Lord, who become the tree of life. This one showing the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 2. So in order for me to be invited, it has to be present perfect passive. Then they are the happy living. Then the happy standard is totally different from the man's happiness. That's why, I look at the internet and I type the definition of happiness in the dictionary. They're talking about state of being happy. And then, what is the best definition of happiness? Internet show typically happiness is an emotional state characterized by feelings of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. While happiness has many different definitions, it is often described as involving positive emotion and life satisfaction. That is the man's happy. Human beings happy I'm talking about. But God's happiness is totally different than man's happiness. Because happy living, the man is the what? Delight in the law of the Lord. To become the tree of life. That is the happy living. Whereas emotional happiness. And then another one, what is your true definition of happiness? True happiness is a feeling. It is an immersive feeling that everything is good inside. It is not just about riches or wealth. It is a state of mind in which one has a fulfilling and satisfying feeling that his heart is truly at rest. Happiness is more or less a fantasy of the mind. Is Bible happiness talking in that way? Absolutely not. People who understand happy in their way, the Bible is what? Closed book. They are in the deep sleep. His eye is blinded. And Bible is totally sealed. About this Makarios, happy living. The first place is showing in the Matthew chapter 3. We went to Matthew chapter 3 a lot. Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 5. And seeing the multitude, he went upon a mountain. And I was explained about mountain. He has seen his disciple, who is a learner, came to him. He opened his mouth. Chrema word comes from his mouth. The mystery of the kingdom of heaven is fully manifested. And then he started to teach 12 disciples. You see, blessed. Look at the blessed. Makarioi, A-N-M-P, happy living. Happy living. Makarioi. Verse 5, happy living. Verse 6, happy living. Verse 7, happy living. Verse 8, happy living. Verse 9, happy living. Verse 10, happy living. Verse 11, happy living. This is the standard of the happy living, who are invited as the present perfect passive tense into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. If we are not to become happy living in this chapter, Matthew chapter 5, you are not able to invite it as the present perfect passive has been invited into the supper of the Lamb, into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. You have to meet the happy standard, which is verse 11, verse 10, verse 9, verse 8, verse 7, verse 6, verse 5. 5 through 11, happy living has to become your realization life. It has to be happen your real life. Not like this kind of happy, okay? Not like a feeling, immersive feeling. Not like an emotional state, feeling of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. Totally different happy definition, man's happiness and the God's happiness, who is inviting into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. So we have to understand then Matthew chapter 5, all those happy living. So verse 3 says, happy living, dull living, poor living. Poor living what? Not in spirit, you see the dative, by the Spirit. By the Spirit, you have to become what? Beggar. This is the adjective pronominal, noun, masculine, plural. Beggar living. Putokos. 44:34. Beggar. You have to become beggar living by the Spirit. That is a happy living. Totally different definition, isn't it? Jesus' definition happiness is totally different man's happiness. Why do you have to become a beggar living? Why do you have to become a beggar living by the Spirit? If you are not able to become a beggar living, poor living, you are not able to receiving the gospel, good message by Christos Jesus. When we go to the Matthew chapter 11 about the beggar, poor living, putokoi, 11:5. The blind see, because the John the Baptizer says, are you the one coming one? Do we look for another? He sent out his disciples. And then Jesus answered, said to the disciple of John, go tell John the things which you hear and see. Blind see, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up. You see the poor, putokos. Okay? Poor, you see, putokos, which is a beggar living, gospel preached to them. So VIPP, indicative, present, passive. So poor living are announced the good message. In order to receive the good message, which is the gospel, you have to be a beggar living, poor living by the Spirit. Then what is the gospel? What is the gospel preached? Born of Jesus, crucifixion of Jesus, resurrection of Jesus, presence of Jesus, that happening in my life inside me, my spiritual process, in order to receive the preaching by the Christos Jesus, teaching by the Christos Jesus. You have to become a beggar living, poor living by the Spirit. Then you have a chance to become a happy living. Go back to chapter 5, the second one. Blessed are those who mourn. Look at the Makarioi. Happy living, the living what? You see BPP or present participle. Then it is a mourn, right? MOURNING. Continuously, repeatedly, habitually, you have to mourn to become the happy living. You see how much different? Feelings of joy, satisfaction, and contentment. You have to be cry. You have to be mourn. Mourn about what? When we go to the James, chapter 4, verse 9. Lament, mourn, and weep. You see, mourn is the command, BM, imperative. And weep, all those are past command. You see, BMAA, 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 mourn is the commanding. Let your laughter be turned to mourning. Okay? Your joy to gloom. Totally different happy Bible is talking about. Why you need to lament, mourn, and weep? Because you have double-minded. Because you are sinners. Because your heart is not clean. Your hand is not cleansed. You are not trying to draw near to the God because you have double-minded. About your double-minded status, you have to lament, you have to mourn, you have to weep to become the happy living. Has been invited into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. To become the true word living of the God, you have to be mourned. Therefore, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Unless your mind is become one in Christos Jesus. You have to keep mourn. If you even coming up there, adulterer, adulteresses, who has a double-minded, right? One foot in the sea, one foot on the dry land. Like we just saw that 7-ball process, right? 6 balls process, right? Unclean spirit, right? Mouth of dragon, mouth of serpent, mouth of false prophet. They are the adulterer, adulteresses. Mother of harlot, Babylon has to be fall down, right? So you are become the pure virgin. But double-minded is the adulterer, adulteresses. Do you not know the friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world, who are in the world? When we go to Matthew chapter 4, if you worship me, the devil and Satan talk to the Jesus, if you worship me, I will give you the kingdom of the world and it's their glory. Kingdom of the world is under the authority of the Satan and serpent. They are whoever learned from the Satan and serpent, another Jesus, different spirit, different gospel. They are the friend of this world. Why do you believe Jesus and God? To crucify, to separate from the friend of the world, isn't it? So who wants to be a friend of the world, make himself an enemy of God? Understand the Bible as the man's lesson. Teaching the Bible as the man's wisdom. Adulterer. Whoever received from that man, she's the adulteress. And who has double-minded here? Who is the sinner? About that status, you have to lament and mourn and weep. Has been invited into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. Go back again. Matthew chapter 5. So happy living, the poor living. Happy living, mourning, mourning, and happy living are happy living, the living, meek, meek, meek living. You have to be meek, prowess, lower your mind. Let's go look at the 42:39. See, mild and what? Humble. So prowess, meek is the, you have to be humble. Their dictionary, mildness of disposition, gentleness of spirit, meekness, which is the, you have to be humble. So humble living is the happy living. Without humble, if you go to the Matthew chapter 11, 29, Jesus himself says, take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. I am gentle, Lord in heart. You see here, prowess, meek. And you will find rest for your soul. In order for me to yoke upon me and learn from Christos Jesus, you have to humble. Has been invited into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. Until that time, before I learn from Christos Jesus, I'm in labor and heavy laden. I am not able to rest. Who give you labor and heavy laden? When we go to Matthew chapter 23, the scribes and Pharisees, they give you heavy burden, heavy laden, because they are teaching the God's commandment as the man's lesson. You have to separate from them, who are the adulterer, adulteresses, hypocrites, blind leaders. So we can learn from Christos Jesus, has been invited into the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. Go back to the Matthew chapter 5. Happy living, makarioi. The living, hunger, and thirst. Both of them is what? Present participle, ing form, right? You have to be hungry and thirst, hunger and thirst. So about this one, from here until 11, we are going to study next class.